Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone! Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Happy Wednesday. You made it. It's halfway. Guess what? It's all downhill from here. It's easy. I hope you're getting outside. It's getting nicer. Spring weather is sneaking in slowly. It's going to be nice today, but I think a little cloudy out there, but that's okay. Warmer weather. That's all that matters. Getting up a high of 66 today. Hey, gotta like that. I do. Though I'm not getting out to enjoy it much, but that's okay. Appreciate you being with us. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Ready, willing, and able. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, as always, Jim.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, brother. How's everything going? What's new with you?
Oh, not a whole lot. I was in West Lafayette for the game last night, which was a lot of fun. Just looking forward to being back there on Friday.
Yeah, that was a big game last night. Of course, Michigan doing what Michigan is just rolling, but they kind of pretty much that to me is they're the team to beat. Obviously, they're number one in the country right now, but man, they just look so strong. It's not that they can't be beat. Anybody can be beaten. Obviously, they've been beaten once, but they're looking pretty strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's going to take the only teams that are going to beat them to me it's going to be, well, Michigan shoots really poorly and the team they're playing shoots really well. Like that's the only way that Michigan's going to lose a basketball game. I mean, that's what happened against Wisconsin. Wisconsin hit 15 threes. Michigan went like 8 for 25, and they still only lost by 3. Like it's going to be really hard to beat that team. And then last night they went 13 of 23 from beyond the arc. Like you're just not going to beat Michigan when they're doing that. They're so long, they're so athletic, they move so well together. And their transition it's funny. Purdue didn't turn the ball over that much. They only turned the ball over, I think, 5 times in that entire game. They did a really good job of taking care of it, trying to keep Michigan out of transition. And despite the fact that they only turned the ball over 5 times, Michigan was able to get the ball out and run. They get the ball down the court so fast. The defense can't even get set off of a regular missed shot. So it really is impressive how well they execute what they do. And I think they're the team to beat not only in the Big Ten, but in the whole country. I guess we'll see on Sunday. They have one of the matchups of the season in college basketball when they play Duke in Washington. Kind of a weird standalone game in the middle of the Big Ten season. They play Duke. But those, to me, are the 2 best teams in the country right now. We'll see how that goes. And boy, it's hard for me to imagine that team losing a game to anything other than, well, they gave up 17 threes. What are you going to do? So they are the team to beat in the Big Ten far and away right now.
How do we get a Michigan-Duke game at this time of year? I'm like,
I'm baffled by it.
And do we want it? Do you want to see that matchup right now, or would you rather wait and see that in the tournament?
It's interesting. I think Dusty May is actually like okay with it. Like he thinks it's good practice for them. He was talking about this last night. He said that they're going to treat it like a Sweet 16 game, basically, where you have a little bit of a short turnaround. You don't know this opponent very well. you have to dig into a scout pretty quickly and then see how well you can execute that in the moment against a high level opponent. And so that's what they're going to treat this as, is kind of a tune-up for a deep NCAA tournament run and see how it goes. And so that's going to be good practice for them, and we'll see how well they do taking that scout and putting it on the court. And so in that way, it's helpful for them. I still am a little unclear how that game came together. I've not dove into the research on that, but it's fun for college basketball fans. It's a lot of fun, and it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we got two of them. You know what I mean? I think probably the winner of that game is going to be the number one overall seed, would be my guess. And then we might get those two teams again in the final. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh yeah, and I mean Arizona is looking so good. Big 12, there's just looks good. There's a lot of teams in the Big 12. It's fun to watch those games. The Big 10, of course, so deep at the top. Purdue is, although they got waxed, I mean, by Michigan, that's not a big deal. It's that would have been an upset if had they won that game, even at home. I'll be honest with you. But the Big Ten pretty deep. Illinois is a team that can win a national championship, I think. And then you've got teams that are just damn good, Michigan State and even Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin beat Michigan at Michigan, so they're playing well, and some of this is helping Indiana. Indiana had win over Wisconsin, so that's their metrics have been great all stinking year. It's which is funny because we think about it, the last couple of years they sucked. I mean, they were terrible, and they've turned that around and doing a good job with it. But they've got to. I've talked about this. There's nothing that's going to change their trajectory. Really, they would have to upset at least Michigan State at home and maybe one other, but I don't know. I don't think you want to move because the best that Indiana would wind up would be a 9 seed, and I don't think you want that. That 8-9 play the 1. So yeah, it's tank. I think they need to do some Pacers. Tank for an 11 seed, man. Tank for an 11 seed.
That's right.
That's kind of funny to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no, their metrics, their net rating, they're all much better than last year. Part of that is because they did a much better job of winning their bye games and blowouts. Like that was the big thing that held them back the last couple of years, was they would win those games in non-conference by 10 or 15 points, and this year they were winning them by 30 or 40, which was just a huge piece of getting those metrics to where they need to be. So. We'll see how this goes for Indiana down the stretch. I do think that they're going to have to win one of these games. If they can beat Northwestern and Minnesota at home, which they should be able to do based on the way they played down the stretch here, you need to win one of those games. You need to win at Purdue on Friday. You need to beat Michigan State at home. You need to win at Ohio State. One of those games, one of those three, and you feel pretty good about your chances for the tournament going into Selection Sunday. You lose all three of those, and you end up 18 and 13, it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be pretty tough. So, or 19 and 12, I should say, because they're 17 and 9 now. So that would be 19 and 12. So you'd have to win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament in that case, and it'd be kind of the same thing. So you want to get at least one more quad 1 win going home here. You have 3 more opportunities, winnable games. I don't think Michigan State is a world beater, especially on the road. I think Purdue is beatable. Indiana already beat them once. I don't think Ohio State's invincible even on the road. So those are winnable games. Those are winnable quad 1 opportunities. Go out there, get one, clinch a tournament spot, feel good about yourself heading to Indianapolis, and have some fun in your first Big Ten tournament under Darren DeVries.
Absolutely. And that comes up. What are we? Say 18th. So 3 weeks away. We're still 3 weeks from, but that's not very long. We're only 3 weeks away from the Big Ten tournament, I should say. 3 weeks from now actually will be day 2 of the Big Ten tournament because it starts on March 10th and runs through the 15th.
Yeah,
So and everybody's playing.
this is the
So
first year with 18 teams in the Big Ten tournament. Yep. So they
yeah,
added the extra day. So
yeah.
it used to start Wednesday, obviously, and now it does start Tuesday this year. So it will be boy, it's going to be a long week for the organizers of that tournament, but it should be a
It's
lot of fun.
like the old Big East.
That's right.
It would take forever. They had like 80 teams, it seemed like. It was like, oh my God, this thing's gonna last forever. But yeah, that's a long, long way to go and a long run. But an opportunity for a couple of teams to do something. Ohio State is probably the team, is the only team that can do something, I think, beneficial. Um, it's because they're on the bubble. I don't think that they're in. And let's see, did they win or lose?
They won last night. Big win
I
for
was
them
going to
against
say that.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I was going to say yeah, that's what it was. So a huge win for them, and they get Indiana at home to end the season.
yeah.
And I don't think that is going to, if they were to lose that game, I don't think it costs Indiana. Like it might help Indiana.
Absolutely.
Tank, baby, tank. It might help Indiana. Indiana's in the tournament.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. They need one big win coming home, I think.
I don't think so. I think they're in as long as they don't misstep.
Sure.
As long as they don't lose to somebody you're not supposed to lose to. Losing to Purdue coming up, that's not going to hurt them. You're at Purdue. You've got to win over them on top of that. So losing to Illinois, it's not going to hurt. I don't think losing to Michigan State hurts them, even though it's at home, but that would be a nice win. But again, you don't want to, it's weird to say this. You don't want to play up. You want to hold pat. You want to stay where you are. You don't want that 9 seed, man. It's a weird thing to say, but it is what it is.
The concern would be that if you lose all three, if you lose to Purdue, you lose to Michigan State, you lose to Ohio State, you end up 19-12, which is okay, but you're 2-11 in quad one games at that point. And that is one of those things where the committee kind of looks at you a little funny. You know what I mean? It's the same situation they were in last year where you feel okay about yourself going into the Big Ten tournament, but then if you lose that first Big Ten tournament game like they did last year, well, now you feel a little bit like you're sweating it out on Selection Sunday, and if they could go a different direction, right? Like I am the last one on this ship. I thought Indiana deserved to make it last year, but they didn't, right? North Carolina made it over them. North Carolina made it over West Virginia and Darren DeVries. But
Bubba Cunningham,
Bubba Cunningham, right? But like if you lose all three of those and you end up 19-12, and then you lose your first Big Ten tournament game, you put yourself at the mercy of that kind of situation, right? So it would really help to get one of those three, the either at Purdue or home against Michigan State or at Ohio State to end the season. One of those three would be really, really nice to have, just to give the committee a late season. Hey, we can win these quad one games too. There's been a lot of them. We haven't done great in them, but we can win them. And we gave you one at the end of the season to give you a reminder of that.
Yeah, and Brian says the seed isn't going to matter because the team isn't going to win the national championship. I agree with that, but here's where I disagree. Winning 2 games in the tournament, huge boost for next year. Huge boost to everything you're doing. Huge boost to guys that may be looking at your program. It's just winning that second game puts you in the next weekend, and it keeps you in the limelight. And hell, it makes you a Sweet 16 team. So it's possible, but it depends. No, they're not going to beat a number 1 seed, I don't think. I think they'll struggle with a number 2 seed, depending on where, top or bottom. 3 seeds? No, I will. Indiana can play with a 3 seed. They have. I think Purdue might end up being a 3 seed. Nebraska coulda, shoulda beat them, had them down by 16, coughed that lead up. So, yeah, they can. I believe that they can play with those guys, and it would be just good for the program because now you're not just making the tournament, you're doing a little something. So it would be big for the program. Kevin, K-Bro, it is, man, maybe it is Dusty May's year. They are they're rolling, and he's got them playing well, but um, Arizona is a team that could get in their way, but I mean, yeah, they could definitely end the drought of the Big Ten winning. Mick Cronin kicked his own player out of the game last night, by the way,
Yes.
people, if you didn't see that. It was kind of I guess it was called a flagrant foul. Guy went up for a layup sort of, and he just really hit him hard from behind, and it was a frustration foul, and Cronin just said, "Get the hell out! Let's go! It was kind of fun. It was very Tom Izzo-esque.
Yes.
It was very Tom Izzo-esque, and they kind of remind you of each other, like Banny Rooster type guys, man. And so yeah, it's kind of fun. And Mick Cronin is always. He's either complaining about the schedule, complaining about this, or complaining about his players, or whatever. Last night, I wish I had it to play, but he snapped at a reporter after it lost. So it's like, dude, man, he's funny.
He called it the worst question he'd ever received in a press conference. It's very, very funny. It's like you should get an award for the worst question.
I've got to be able to find that later, man. But gee whiz. But yeah, UCLA season's not going well. And someone mentioned earlier, I think it was James, that or they might play their way out of the damn NCAA tournament. I don't think so, but or maybe they're getting close to that. Who knows?
They're kind of in that Indiana zone where if they hold serve, they should be in, but they seem like a team that is not certain to hold serve, if that makes sense. They're not a cohesive unit, I don't think is the word. I think if you're comparing those two rosters, I think both of them had a lot of turnover this year. I think Darren DeVries did a better job than Mick Cronin this offseason of putting together a roster that makes sense, right? We talked about some of the deficiencies in Indiana's roster, about how it's not perfectly constructed. They would like to have a little something more inside, but Indiana plays like much more of a team on the whole than UCLA does. UCLA is just kind of a collection of guys out there on sometimes. Like, they're not a bad team. They have a lot of talent, but they're just kind of some guys out there, And that's what happened last night against Michigan State. Is they ran into a team that is very, very well constructed, and they didn't make plays together as a team. I mean, they were down 40-20 in that game. It wasn't even particularly close. And so it's just Mick Cronin he understands how to put a roster together in the portal era. He has not shied away from like bringing in transfer guys, but he has not really figured out a way to make that work on a year-to-year basis. I give Tom Izzo a ton of credit, frankly, for a guy who has been in college basketball for as long as he has. He's done a really good job over the last couple of years. There was a couple of rough years, I think, right at the beginning of the transfer era. But for a guy who's been in college basketball for as long as he has and did things one way for so long, the last couple of years he's done a really good job of bringing in transfers that have really helped them and have helped them become a top 10 program once again, a top 10 team once again. He has a team this year made up of a combination of high school guys that they've kept for several years and transfers, and that team is very, very good. And so Tom Izzo's program building ability, even in this new era, is really impressive to me. The guy's been the coach there for 31 years now, and he's still doing it.
I wonder if Kevin Brockway, was he the person that asked the question?
I mean, he probably was. It has to have been Kevin, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We could only hope. Okay, bro, appreciate you being out there, brother. Yeah, looking at the Big Ten standings, we're going to take a break before I look at the standings, before I get too deep into there. But appreciate you being with us. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with me right now, back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Speed Radio on this Wednesday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joining me as well. And what was I talking about? The standings?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, UCLA, they're down there with Indiana and USC, man. They're at the what I call the bottom 3 that can make it, that will make it into the tournament, or one of those bottom 3 not going to make it. USC is below Indiana right now, but they've got a win over Indiana, and they've got 18 wins. I see them making a tournament as long as they stay above 500. I think you have to stay above 500, and they're 7-7 right now, so they have to watch that. But UCLA at 9-6 in the conference, 17-9 overall. I think they're just going to end up getting a crappy seed. I don't think, unless they collapse the rest of the way, then that's possible. But again, if a team like that, you got to par. If you can par out, then you're fine as far as making it, but you're not going to do anything. It's like with Indiana. We're talking about making it, but there's a difference there. Indiana has only made the damn tournament twice in the last 9 years, so they need to make it. Just to have the confidence. It's just like a kid asking a girl out or asking a girl to dance in the 8th grade. Dude, you got to do it. It doesn't matter if she says no. You got to do it. And guess what? You got to do it again. You've got to go through that. You've got to suffer the slings and arrows, baby, of life to get through it. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
It is funny, though. We talk about getting an 11 seed and things like that. We have to remember Mick Cronin and UCLA went to the Final Four off an 11 seed just a couple of years ago. Remember that? That was, I think it was 2021 that tournament was, and they almost went to the national championship. They ended up playing Gonzaga in the Final Four, and that game was tied with a couple seconds left. And then Jalen Suggs hit that 35-foot off the glass three-pointer to win it at the buzzer. But yeah, that UCLA team that year went to the Final Four off an 11 seed. So they actually beat Tom Izzo and Michigan State in the play-in game that year, I think, before they were in the Big Ten. So you can make noise as an 11 seed going into the tournament. You just got to get there. Got to get to the dance. Like, that is the number one thing. Get there and figure out the rest from there. And that's when coaching really shows up in these really short turnaround windows, putting together a game plan, that kind of thing. So get to the tournament, figure it out, make a run, see if you can make some noise and have some fun along the way.
Here we go. Mick Cronin.
Pete, and how you go to work every day. Steve's a good kid. He made a bad decision. But if you want to be a tough guy, you need to do it during the game for a block out for a rebound. So I was thoroughly disappointed. Guy was defenseless in the air. I know Steve was trying to block the shot, but the game's a 25-point game. You don't do that. So.
What was your thought to the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
It's about overall the way that
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like?
You should take it.
The preparation of
You really think I care about the other?
No, I don't think you care about the
Are
other.
you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm
There you are. There you are. Come on, dude.
No,
Wow.
Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody, this is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
Wow, man, that went sideways.
Oh,
wow, accusing a guy of raising his voice. I mean, hold on. This is Tom Izzo, by the way.
For Mick, his team's a lot better than that. And I guess he upgraded that to a flagrant 2, huh? That's the first time I saw a coach do it, but that sounds like Mick, so you'll get that straightened out.
That sounds like you. What are you talking about? That's something you would do. I mean, that's great. But Mick Cronin, you can tell it's just getting to him, I think.
Yeah.
This has just been a grind out there at UCLA. He has been in a meat grinder. He has just been snapping all the time, complaining about his players, complaining about the schedule, complaining about the Big Ten, just whatever. And now his own players, he kicked his own player out of a game. And then I mean, the guy was, I'm like, wow. He turned that into something right there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like it was. I thought it was a fair question. Like you want to know what you say to your guy. So the background there, for those who don't know, is that Xavier Booker, who Indianapolis kid, Cathedral kid, started his career at Michigan State, transferred this past offseason to UCLA, and never really. He was a 5-star kid, never really found a niche with Michigan State. I think Tom Izzo's kind of talked about that, where he wishes he could have done a little bit more to bring out the best in Xavier Booker, but he always thought he was a great kid, wished him the best. And then the student section last night for Michigan State was kind of chanting at Booker a little bit. I think that's a fair question to Mick Cronin to ask about, maybe not what his reaction to the student section was, but more like, how do you kind of help your own player navigate that in a really hostile environment that they've played in before? So I don't think that's a totally unfair question. I think it's a coach whose team lost by 25 who is feeling the pressure of being a blue blood coach whose team is not performing like a blue blood for several years in a row, and trying to navigate that, who has always been a little bit prickly. That's been his whole thing, his whole career. And just kind of not liking the question, which, that's your right as a coach, but also it's the media has to ask. That question was going to get asked. That question had to be asked by someone. So I don't think it was an unfair question in particular. Maybe you could have worded it a little bit better, but that's not one of those things where it really deserves to be snapped out like that, I don't think.
No, especially, and then to be accused of raising his voice at him is, are you raising your voice at me? Like, come on, man. That's just ridiculous. But I don't know how he's going to make it through that deal. It's just he's just treading water, probably waiting, hoping, because his contract. I remember the last couple of years when jobs would come open, we'd look it up. And I'm like, oh my God, they've got him handcuffed. So it was like, maybe he's just hoping that UCLA will fire him so he can go get a different job back east.
Yeah.
Go
back to Cincinnati, man. Cincinnati hasn't been great the last couple of years. They might need a new guy. Go back to Cincinnati. He was great there.
Yeah, and Andrew mentioned, I saw this as well. Lil Rhodey got him a win last night at home.
That's right.
Taking down number 18 St. Louis, and was it Shirts, the coach?
Yeah, sure. So just they were 24-1 going into that game last night. So huge win for the Fighting Archies down there.
Yeah, it's 20. They're 24. They're like who's the other team?
Miami, Ohio.
Yeah. These teams are having great seasons for them, but they're playing nobody.
Yes.
I mean, I think Miami's strength of schedule is like 1,008, and there's only 300 and something teams, but it's a 300 level schedule. But
Yeah.
hey,
Now,
good for them.
Yeah, St. Louis was going into last night before their loss was a top 25 Ken Pom team. So like that's a very, very good win for Rhode Island.
Yeah,
St.
but
Louis
aren't those numbers kind of skewed because you're winning, and that benefits you, but you're not beating anybody.
You're not. I like Miami, Ohio. I think is in the 80s on Ken Pom. They're 25-0, but I think they're in the high 70s and the 80s. And St. Louis is like 24th going into last night. I think it was. So it's like there's a difference there. St. Louis is a substantially better team than Miami, Ohio. But it's just it's hard to win a lot of games, right? And we know that. It's just you got to go out there and you got to do the thing every night. So it's not that these teams are not any good. It's just that, yeah, they haven't played a high level opponent yet. And St. Louis has a couple of games that they played against, like they beat VCU, if I remember correctly. I think they beat George Washington, maybe George Mason, one of the two. But they had some decent wins over teams that are top 60 in Ken Pom, that kind of thing. So they're a good team, good win for Rhode Island. And I think like St. Louis is one of those teams that they are a mid major that probably will make the tournament regardless of whether they win their conference tournament. They are an at-large mid-major team, which is pretty rare these days.
Iowa, nice upset win for them at home over number 9 Nebraska.
Needed that one for Iowa. They have struggled against some of the better teams in the conference this year. They needed that one.
They are that team 57-52.
Yep.
I mean 50. That is right dead center in their wheelhouse. I mean, if you had to write what would be a perfect score for Iowa, that would be it. Bam. But they're doing it. They're doing a good job at it. They're playing their game, and they make you play their game. That's what's amazing. And so it's a team that can make you play their game is mesmerizing to me, especially like this. And if you're a high flying team, if they can, how do you let them control you? It's just amazing, and it shows you that, man, they have their philosophy well instilled, and but it helped having that who was that kid that came along?
Several kids that have been with him for a couple stops, but Bennett Sturts is the one you're thinking of.
Sturts,
NBA point guard, a future NBA point guard, Bennett Sturts, who's been fantastic for them down the stretch of this season. Like
how about that too? Was it was somebody you would have never heard of?
Yeah, I mean he was a Division II kid, right? Like he started with McCollum at Northwest Missouri, and then they transferred together to Drake, and they made the tournament last year, and then they went again together to Iowa. And he is probably going to be he should be an all Big Ten player this year. Like we talk about Lamar Wilkerson and how good he's been for Indiana. Bennett Sturts has been every bit that productive for Iowa. Just really, really good down the stretch for them, especially as they've had some guys that have kind of struggled. Their last couple of weeks here, there have been some guys that haven't played as well as they probably would have liked. And Sturts has really picked up the slack in those areas. And then you turn in a performance last night where you defensively just play so well against the Nebraska team that their offensive structure is just so good. To turn off that team's water and hold them to 52 like that, incredibly impressive in a game they had to have because they were kind of slipping down toward the bubble as well.
Yeah, and we mentioned the Fighting Archies. Little Rhodey got them a win. That's going to be their NCAA tournament because they're 15-11. They're not going anywhere. Another Michigan State that game last night, the UCLA game, that 82-59 win, a beat down there in East Lansing. But how about North Carolina State? They didn't just beat North Carolina. They beat the living crap out of them.
Yeah.
82-58.
Yeah.
I know that was at North Carolina State, but that's a surprise.
Well, it's also North Carolina is missing its best player with Caleb Wilson, the lottery pick. He's out with I believe it's a hand injury. They're dealing with that. They're not sure if or when he's going to be back this season. So they're going to look pretty different without him. He has been absolutely fabulous for them. One of those freshmen in this class this year that has just been so like poised and ready to go physically. Like he is a physical specimen, ready to go as a true freshman. Had carried them a lot of this year. He carried them to that win over Duke. Frankly, outplayed Cam Boozer for a lot of that game in that win over Duke, and then they just don't have him right now, and so it's tough. But yeah, huge win for NC State, especially after I think it was last week. Will Wade kind of called out his team and said he didn't think he had a particularly tough roster. And so for them to respond that way and go win a game against a rival by 25 points, that tells you something too. That is a season making, NCAA tournament making resume win for NC State for them to go get that one. So yeah, a lot of teams last night went and got wins they desperately needed to secure tournament seeding and spots.
Yeah, and it's just some great games this time of year. I mean, these games are really ratcheting up, and part of that is because I think that the fact of where we are in the season is starting to sink in. You cannot ignore the talk of who's where and seeds. I mean, you'd have to really put earplugs in and blinders on to not know who's what, because it's everywhere. Everyone has their brackets going right now already, and this and that, and boy, you're out. Well, we haven't even got to doesn't matter. You're out. It's like everything's already determined. So yeah, there's no way you can ignore what's going on. So, but let's see. Today is Wednesday. Arkansas, Alabama tonight down in the SEC.
Yeah.
BYU and Arizona, but BYU just lost. Didn't they just lose a major
their second leading scorer? Yeah, Richie Saunders. He's out for the season. They're veteran guys. So they're basically AJ Dubance and a whole bunch of random dudes now. It's obviously dudes. Yeah, they're still a good team because he's really, really darn good, but it's not probably the Elite Eight or Final Four team that they hoped they could be this year, because Saunders was a huge piece of what they do.
Yeah, and that's going to affect their NCAA seeding.
Absolutely. They could slip down to the 4, 5, even 6 line if things kind of go bad for them here down the stretch without him. So we're gonna see.
They may go further than that. I mean, they're 7-5 in the Big 12, and 19-6, which is good. They're going to hit the 20 win mark, but if they lose a couple of games that you wouldn't have expected them to,
yeah,
their record is going to be similar to Indiana's.
Yeah. Now, they have a couple of big non-conference wins that Indiana doesn't have. They played a pretty tough non-conference schedule and won some of those games, so that's part of it too. Their metrics are pretty good. I think they're in the high teens or low 20s in the net. So they would have to fall pretty far to get below that, I think, 6th line probably. But we'll have to see how that goes, because, again, we don't know what they're going to look like without Saunders. Dubance is obviously ridiculously good. He could carry them to a couple of wins that we don't see them getting, but we'll have to see. Obviously, that's a huge game for them tonight, just to kind of, hey, can you keep that one close against a team that is one of the best in the country and is coming off back-to-back losses? Because that's a big game for Arizona, too. They lost back-to-back games last week after starting 23-0. Can you get back off the mat against a good opponent?
Yeah, absolutely. And plenty, it seems like the games are just getting better right now, and plenty more coming up, like we're talking about. But also not I need to take a quick break and we'll finish this segment out. But Kansas State firing Tang now. I'm like, Really, why? Some things are just, they don't make sense. Why not wait until the end of the season? We'll talk about that when we come back, though. We got to take a quick break. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with me. Plenty more coming right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com. Indiana football. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always on this Wednesday. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette as well. What the hell is with storming the court for beating somebody, like anybody? It's not; these are not #1 teams that are getting beaten in this. Arizona fans stormed the court after beating number 13 Texas Tech. What the hell?
Arizona State, yeah, it's just one of those things where fans are looking for a reason to celebrate. It's just they're college kids. It is what it is. It's just one of those things, you know.
The best one was if you could watch the end of that Rhode Island game where they upset St. Louis. You could tell the announcer sounded young. So they were very inexperienced, but God comes on and the students have stormed the court. And when he said that, I started counting. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could count the people that had stormed the court. There was a little patch down in a far corner of probably 30 people that were in that deal, but it was hardly a court storming. That one was funny, but he said it was such, and the students have stormed the court. And I'm like, ooh, where are they? It was, yeah. But it's like, it's getting it's already out of hand. And I'm not even talking about for safety. I'm talking about for stupidity. Man, you don't storm the court for beating the number 13 team.
gives a crap?
Huh.
What the hell is that? I mean,
Hey,
unless you hadn't won a game in 6 years, that's get it, grow up.
huh. Yeah, I guess Arizona State hasn't been particularly good, but they've been a tournament team in recent memory. Like they've been a tournament team this decade. It's not like, yeah, you beat a ranked team, but again, it is one of those things where, the fans just want to have fun. This is new for the college students who've only been there for a couple of years. You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's hard to keep students from doing something they want to do. Because you can have security, you can have fines for the teams. I think the Big 12 will probably fine Arizona State for doing that. But the students are going to do what students want to do, generally speaking.
Well, and speaking of which, John Shire, Duke's head coach, said he could have said even more in response to a local district attorney's claims that there was zero evidence to support the Duke coach's initial claim that a Blue Devil staffers in plural were punched in a recent court storming at rival North Carolina.
Yep.
See, now we're getting, that's the thing right there. That was a huge rivalry game. And so you're going to have tensions down there, but that kind of stuff is ridiculous. But I see it happening. Students are stupid. They're drunk. They've been drinking. And did I mention they're stupid? So, I mean, not book wise. I'm just talking about, I was there. I was a student. I was stupid. I don't know if all the stupid is rubbed off yet, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it should end. I'm saying it should be worthy of a court storm, and behave yourself when you're doing it.
Yes. And I mean, that was a big one is like, North Carolina won and they beat Duke. It's a rivalry game, and they'd been a couple of years since they did that. And then they went down and stormed, which is, I think that was a fine one. Although we talk about the debate about whether blue blood should ever storm or whatever. But when they did that, then it's a volatile atmosphere when the other team does not have a chance to get off the court, when they're trying to make their way through that, and you have the Duke uniforms on, and it's one of those things where it can be a powder keg very, very quickly, and there'll probably be an even more serious incident at some point, just because, like you said, it's a combustible situation, and emotions are running high, I think is the kind way to put it. So.
And it's funny because normally you get maybe some coaches going back and forth. This is a district attorney going back and forth, but he is the district attorney in the county where Chapel Hill is. But a week has passed, and what seemed likely is now patently obvious. There is zero evidence that anyone from Duke's basketball program was punched in the face at the Smith Center last week, he wrote, nor is there any evidence that a staffer was trampled to the floor or in a complete brawl for that matter. Some have asked why I'm talking about this. It's certainly not because of a sports rivalry. Of course not. He's also a UNC grad that I mentioned.
Of course.
That's no business of the DA's office. Bubba Cunningham. I wonder if Bubba Cunningham's in the DA's office now. But I've seen firsthand how reckless accusations of violence incite more violence, and that is my business. Someone with the power and influence of a major men's basketball coach should exercise more discretion before saying things that can have real-world consequences. So the DA's jumping on Shire's ass. It's like, nothing to do with a rivalry. Get out of here. There's nothing professional about anything that dude just said.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that he probably went through and he looked at the tape and whatever tape you can see, he's like, well, I don't see anything. Well, okay. But I don't think, my guess is John Shire would not have said that if there was not something that happened to one or several of his staffers. Maybe he would have. Maybe he made it up totally. I doubt that.
I'm not saying he made it up. It may be, he probably didn't see it. He said it. Look,
when he saw me, he said he looked like he had been in a complete brawl.
Yes.
And that got whatever.
I mean, you're trying to fight through these fans just to get in the locker room for the
it's very emotional. Right afterwards, you're going to be emotional. You just got beat on top of that, so it's an emotional thing. So
absolutely.
You've got to be able. Most people have the ability to weed through the emotions, but this guy obviously is looking to make. Let's see. Was it the district attorney in that same county? Duke Lacrosse comes to mind.
Well, that's this is Chapel Hill now. So
right, but they're only 8 miles apart. I don't know. Are they in different counties? I think. So
yeah, that's a good question. We'd have to look.
Boy, the district attorneys down there, whoo, not good. Little weird going on. What's up next for you, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, rest of the week is focused on IU Purdue. Biggest game of the season for IU so far, and really, really fun. Should be a great atmosphere on Friday night at Mackey Arena. Purdue trying to come back off that loss to Michigan. So looking forward to that, and should be a great rematch of a game that was really good early in the season, too.
Yeah, Indiana obviously could use it, I guess you'd say, but Purdue playing really well right now. They've gotten back, so I think that it's going to be a tough ask, but we'll see. Purdue's playing well, but Indiana matches up well with them, so we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But I think that's one of the things that has worked for Indiana. There's not a lot of teams that they match up well with, but Purdue is one of those teams.
Yeah, and the only question for me is Purdue has, during their 4-game winning streak before they lost last night, they have really made their mark by really attacking the glass. Trey Kaufman-Renn has been absolutely fantastic in rebounding over the last 2 or 3 weeks here. And so Indiana will have to match that. Well, like that is, they struggled in that area badly against Illinois. Can you match the physical intensity that Purdue is going to bring to that game? Because Purdue lost that game last night to Michigan, but they were physically ready to go in that game. Can Indiana match what they are going to bring to that game on Friday? We'll have to see. That's going to be the number one test for Indiana.
Yeah, and someone's got to defend C.J. Cox. He has become the guy, in my opinion, that has been a kind of a difference maker for Purdue.
Yeah,
kind of an X factor.
I mean, absolutely. He's a very talented 3-point shooter. Only a sophomore. They're going to give him to some extent the keys to the program next year. And he's a really, really talented player. Can score off the dribble. Can pull up from 15. Can shoot from 3. And as a very, very good defender, he'll probably guard Lamar Wilkerson as well because he guards the other team's best scorer. So that's a guy to watch going forward this year, obviously, but also going forward for Purdue as a guy who's going to lead that program into the future.
Absolutely, and we'll see. But big thanks as always for you joining us. And what's up the rest of the day?
That's it. Well, so one thing we just learned is that Thomas Hammock, Fort Wayne native, coach of Northern Illinois, is going back to the NFL. He's going to be a running backs coach in the NFL. He was before that, and so he's leaving Northern Illinois, obviously going from the MAC to the Pac-12 or the Mountain West this season. And so Thomas Hammock will not be leading them into their new conference. He'll be back to the NFL. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day trying to report that out a little bit, try to talk to him on the phone. I'm sure he's very busy, but we'll see how that goes. So Fort Wayne native Thomas Hammock, terrific tenure there at NIU and headed back to the NFL.
Appreciate you, Dylan Sinn. Joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, Jim Coyle. I'm back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISP Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Glad to be with you. Jim Coyle here, and Kyle Neddenriep should be joining me here shortly, and Mr. Bill Bender from the Sporting News after that later on. Looking at the bubble, man, Kentucky, St. Louis, after that upset loss to Lil Rhodey, no longer locks right now. Let's see. Locks from the Big Ten. I disagree with this. It has Michigan, Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska, Michigan State. Yeah, of course. And then should be in. Really? Wisconsin. Is there a chance in hell they're not making the tournament? No. It's ridiculous. Iowa. They're in. You know, I guess you can't call them locks, but they're in. Indiana is in that group. They're in unless, you have to fall apart. All of those teams. They're all in. Work to do? Wow. Ohio State in that group. USC and UCLA, both. And they've got UCLA after going. Oh, man. It's just going to get better for Mick Cronin. After going to East Lansing and getting the crap beat out of them, Saturday they've got to go to Champaign, Illinois, and take on the Fighting Illini in that group. So, yeah, boy. Pecan says Indiana's not yet in. Oh, they're in. As long as they don't play themselves out. Of course they're in. Are you kidding me? Every metrics number they have is in the top 35. They're in. They're playing in the toughest conference in the country. Yes, they're in. At this moment, they're in. That doesn't mean they couldn't play themselves out. Absolutely, they could. But as of right now, they're in. Yes, yes, they are. SEC. They've got 5 locks there. We'll see. We'll see. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining me now. Kyle, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Jim. How are you?
Great. I was just talking about list of locks and who's in, who's not in right now, the tournament, which is kind of funny. But the good thing is for high school, they don't have to worry about that. We're all in, baby. We're in. We made it. We made the cut. So that's something cool that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, no reason to worry about the brackets, and well, you can worry about the brackets, I guess, but you don't have to worry if you're in the bracket or not. So that's
Yeah, there's no bubble. There's no bubble.
no bubble, no bubble. Yeah, and we'll find out those brackets on Sunday. Sectional draw coming Sunday. So is actually just working on a story on kind of things to look for when the draw comes out, and should be a good time. It's always a fun night.
Yeah, we're still no seeding though, and I understand. I don't know how God's green earth you could seed that many teams, but I don't know. I think you could probably seed the top 4, maybe.
Well, in the sectional, I mean, you could seed the sectional if you wanted to, or if you thought it was, it's obviously something that's been talked about. I don't know if you'd want to mess with and again, I've probably said this before, but I feel more strongly about seeding football than I do basketball. I think football would benefit from a seeding mechanism greatly, especially the larger classes. In basketball, I don't feel that strongly because you would really have to change. I don't think you'd want to change the sectional week too much. So what you could do is seed the sectional, but you're still going to end up, I don't know how much difference that would make other than probably guaranteeing you'd have better championship games every year or in every sectional. And I don't know that, I've gone back and forth on that. I mean, it is silly occasionally when you have like Westfield and Fishers playing last year in the first night of the sectional. It's I think it was 1-3 or 4 or something like that. You end up with those things happen occasionally. But, those teams are probably going to meet anyway. So, you end up with a really good game on Tuesday or Wednesday instead of, Friday or Saturday. It doesn't change things much, but it does give you a better chance if you have a great season. That's the only thing I would like it for is to if you did seed, it would kind of give you an advantage and something to play for during the season to get a better sectional seed, which I think would be a good thing. But, at the end of the day, I don't know that you'd want to mess with the sectional week too much because it is a great week of basketball.
Absolutely, because a lot of people are still hanging on to class basketball being in there. So, not many more changes there. So the draw is kind of exciting because you don't have seating, so that on the other hand, that actually adds some intrigue of who you got to play, how soon are you going to have to play a good team, or having to play somebody right off the bat. Your season could come to an end. I mean, it's reality right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of the fun, and it's you're going to play one of, depending on how big your sectional is, you're going to play one of, the bigger classes have maybe 5 teams or 6 teams in a bracket, and then some of the smaller classes may have 7 or sometimes even 8. So you kind of know who you're going to be playing. A lot of these teams, obviously, sectional rivals, they play each other a lot during the season. So there is familiarity there, which makes it fun. The neighborhood rivals, a lot of cases, are playing against each other in the first week there of the tournament. So that makes it unique. But yeah, you kind of end up with you'll end up with a few heavyweight matches in the weekday games, and the way they changed this now too. I was going back through this morning, but it's only the top 20% of schools are now in 4A. They changed that formatting to where it used to be every class was split evenly. It was 25, 25, 25, and 25, all 4 classes. Now it's they've kind of put those 20% in 4A. The next 2 classes have the next 25%, and then 30% are in 1A. So you end up with fewer. I think there's 82 teams in 4A, 100 in 3A and 2A, and then 122 in 1A. So it's a little bit different than it used to be. So you have fewer weekday games in 4A is what that ends up being. But yeah, I mean, it'll still be great. I mean, like I said, it's always, in the years I've done it, it's always kind of become my favorite week. Just you end up with so many fun games and, surprising games and, the games that are maybe crazy at halftime that you had no idea. And then, it kind of gets your interest. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff I'm looking forward to this year, and I'm they actually have me on the show again. I'm on the IHSA sectional draw show, so that'll be fun to be part of that again.
Heck yeah, man! You're the boss. What are you talking about? You are the goat. You're the guru. You and Greg Rakestraw or
well, it'd be me and him. Me and him be doing the show.
See?
He'll be doing the large bulk of the work, but I'll be there as well.
See, who else? Those are the two people. Those are the two people. There are not two other people in the entire state that should be there. Though you are perfect. You see everyone. He calls a lot of games, but you're everywhere. You're omnipresent, and it's amazing. Actually, Indiana is very lucky to have you. I don't know of anybody that does what you do on the scale that you do. It's amazing.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And Greg has a steel trap memory in mind, and
yes,
I don't.
He does.
So, he remembers everything. I can't remember anybody's name. So that's it'll be good. He's with me to prop me up on Sunday.
Yeah, I would need some hand holding without question.
Yeah.
And no one better to do it than our friend Greg Rakestraw. But yeah, he joins us each Monday. But yeah, look, and what time is that? Like 1 o'clock, probably?
No, it's later. It's 6 to 8. So
6.
we'll be on 6 to 8, and then obviously have reaction after that on Indy Star. I'll be doing a little bit of a breakdown afterwards. So yeah, I can't wait. It's like I said, it's not. I think. Sometimes maybe I think some teams actually like to play the first game or, get one out of the way. I guess it kind of depends who you end up getting drawn against, but I think it can benefit you. I think sometimes we always look, oh, they got the bye. That's a benefit. Sometimes I think it ends up working out if you can play an early game, kind of get some momentum going, get the nerves out and play a game. So it just kind of depends, I think, on the makeup of the team and, like I said, who you end up playing against. Obviously, you don't want to lose that first game, but sometimes it's good to have a challenge during the week.
Absolutely. And well, we don't know who's playing whom, so we can't ask about any anticipation on that. So what is it's something you're looking forward to or looking to see what might happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going through that right now. I think, one of the, I obviously always start with 4A. That's the bulk of our audience here is Class 4A with, Indianapolis area teams. But, I'm kind of looking at, and I think we've kind of given the benefit of the doubt to the Fishers sectional, which will be played in Noblesville this year. And that being maybe the hardest field the last few years. And I don't know that that's necessarily a wrong answer when you have Fishers and Carmel. Those teams played each other recently, and it was a really good game, right down to the wire, and Fishers ended up winning. But that will be, if those teams end up matching up against each other, that'll be a great game. And then you throw in, all 6 of the teams in there are top 30 in the Sagarin ratings. So, and 5 of them are in the top 17. So it's kind of a ridiculous sectional to get through. But I'm really curious, Westfield, HSE's been playing really well. So that will be one certainly to watch, how that sectional shakes out. And definitely the draw will matter there because you don't want to, I think it is a benefit probably to get into that Friday night semifinal and not have to mess with some juggernaut team in the first round. So that one will be interesting. I think the other contender for toughest sectional is actually going to be at Plainfield. Sectional 11, where Pike and Plainfield have kind of been, vying all year in that top 5 in the state. Excuse me. And that's kind of been the 2 teams in that sectional. Pike is ranked 3rd right now. Plainfield's 5th. And both of them are Pike's up to 19 wins. Plainfield's got 20 already. But then you've got also Ben Davis, Brownsburg, and Avon rounding out that group. And Avon's maybe down a little bit from, they are down from last year, but certainly where they were probably the favorite going in, but they're still a team that can jump up and get you. And definitely Brownsburg and Ben Davis are too. So I think in that one too, you probably want to avoid playing. It's only a 5-teamer, so there's only one game during the week. And actually, Brownsburg won that game last year against Avon, then went on to win the next 2 nights in the semifinal and championship. So, but I think Pike and Plainfield are probably a slight cut above the others. But so, yeah, that will be a really fun one, I think. And, and we'll see some of the other, some of the other groupings, like the one down at Seymour. Pretty heavy favorite, I think, is New Albany this year going into that one. So I think that will be a fun one to see how that shakes out. Always a good crowds down there for that sectional. And then you go into 3A, and it's a loaded kind of a landmine. But I think Silver Creek is kind of head above everybody in 3A. And, they should win their sectional relatively easily. Cathedral's probably the next best contender in 3A. And there are a couple of good teams in their sectional, although Shortridge just suffered a pretty significant injury to their top scorer. So that could take them out of the mix. But I think Addicts and Cathedral could see each other again. And, potentially that could be a fun game if they do match up. So, but 3A's got a lot of really good teams like Shelbyville. They're trying to win a sectional for the first time in like 25 years. So a ton of seniors on that team. So that'll be, interesting to see how that one shakes out with, Ron Colley's in that one. Greenwood's really good too. So, there's some of those type sectionals where there's like 3 or 4 good teams. The draw will be really interesting to see kind of who gets the, maybe the benefit of getting on the opposite side of the bracket.
Yeah, it's going to be it's always fun, man, and always fun to see some upsets here and there. And who's going to be the guy or the guy in each level? That is something to always look forward to. Who, speaking of which, 4A, we kind of know that. Is Mr. Basketball still kind of sewn up?
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, like I don't want to like say it's over, but I mean, Luke Earle's just been so good all year, and I feel like going into the year, it's like it's kind of his to lose, I would say, and he's certainly done nothing to lose it, by any means. He's leading his team that's not as talented as it was last year, and they have an even better record. So, the only games they've lost, they're ranked 4th in 4A. The games they've lost are to the 3 teams ahead of them in the rankings. So they have not slipped up against bad teams. They've continued to, put pressure even in the Pike loss last week. They were in that game in overtime with, it was an overtime game, 84-81, and their second leading scorer didn't even play that game. Pike was missing a couple of guys too because of the flu, but they have just Ertle's just been so good all year. I can't imagine he won't get a pretty good chunk of that vote when all's said and done. But I always want to keep Noah Smith of Plainfield, I think, is deserving of mention, and Dikembe Shaw from Crown Point is also, I think, deserving of mention. And when it comes down to the finalists, and we end up putting the finalists out, I would assume those 2 guys would be in that mix as well as Ertle and maybe Dane Caldwell from Silver Creek, and probably some others as well, like some smaller school players like Blake Neal, Bloomfield could get some, and some players like that. But it'll be tough. I just feel like Ertle has, he's won at a high level. He's going to Purdue, I think generally recognized as a really good player. So I just, I feel like it's sort of his to, it's his award, right now, I feel like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. What about the other classes? Who are some of the guys that you think that are the Mr. Basketballs per se of their class?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like I said, Dane Caldwell at Silver Creek. Silver Creek's a really balanced team, so I they're a team where, if you put Caldwell on, say somebody else, I mean, he would probably have even bigger numbers than he does. But going to Richmond, he's really, I think, going to be a great college player. He kind of fits the mold of the current college world, where he's like 6'9", but he can shoot, he can handle the ball. He's just a really good player for that Silver Creek team. But like I said, they kind of share the wealth, so it's not necessarily a team where one guy's getting all the shots. Trey Shelsky, when you're looking at 2A from Park Heritage, I know he's a small school player. He's not going to big D1 school, but at the same time, going to Huntington, and he's had a really good career. I'm actually going to talk to him later today. looking ahead to the sectional. But that's a team too. I think when you look at what they've done the last few years, they have just not quite been able to break through and win a state title and get on that stage. But they have played in the semi-state each of the last 3 years in his time in high school and lost to some really good teams along the way. But I think he's somebody that, I think he's an Indian All-Star player, and that Park Heritage team plays a really tough schedule as well. They really have tested themselves this year. So they're another good one. And then, 1A's got some good players as well. Bar Reeve, again, having a really good season and not as many probably seniors in that class. But like I said, Blake Neal from Bloomfield is over 2,000 points for his career. And has just been fantastic down there, really leading that team. And they don't have a ton of talent around him, but he's one of the best out there. And again, they will probably be a handful in their sectional. They have, I think they should probably get out of that and win it, but have some tough teams that they would have to get through after that. So I don't know how far they can make it necessarily, but he's definitely deserving of mention as well.
Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star. It's all about to start this Sunday. You can catch him and Greg Rakestraw. I guess that's going to be on what channel?
It's on Iowa State TV. They do it streaming now, so it's
there you go.
That's kind of the way of the world.
Stream it away, baby. Appreciate you as always.
You bet. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. Thank you. Hey, Bill Bender's going to join us next. Back right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday, and joined now by Bill Bender. Bill, unmute yourself there. I may have done it by accident, but as always, glad to have you. How you doing, brother? I like the background. Did you change that a little bit?
No, I've had it up like this. I got the can of Billy beer in the background that
oh, really? Oh, man. I see it, but I wouldn't have known that if you hadn't have said that. Oh my God.
There's nothing
have you
in
had
it.
That?
I haven't drank any of that this morning. No, I wasn't old enough for Billy beer, but
oh, now you're being a smart ass.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean
kidding,
maybe a little. But
kidding.
I got plenty of footballs and memorabilia and all those kind of things, obviously. So yeah, we switched it up a little bit, and that's Tony Gwynn next to him. Tony Gwynn's my favorite baseball player. So
I love Tony. Hey, I love Tony Gwynn, man. He wasn't. I was a Reds fan, so he wasn't. I wasn't I was a fan of his. There were a few players when I was a kid that transcended the team. And there weren't many people that could do that, because when you're a kid, I was locked in to my teams, whoever the way it was, the Reds and the Rams, the LA Rams, the original LA Rams. Once they moved to St. Louis, it was, I don't know what it was. It was weird. I dropped them. But anyway, the Reds, there were, gee whiz.
No,
Tony Gwynn and Nolan Ryan, those guys, they just, boy, you just loved to watch them play.
Ricky Henderson and Tony Gwynn.
Yes.
And that's a weird combination of teams. You have not the Reds so much being in Indiana. Most of my buddies are Reds fans. So I was a lefty growing up, lefty playing baseball, and Tony Gwynn was the best left-handed hitter in baseball when I was growing up. So I kind of gravitated toward him. The Padres, before they were popular, which they are more popular now, and they were very bad. He played on some very bad teams, but obviously, that's I might be the only person in Ohio that's a Padres and Packers fan, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's just it's not the same, man. Because we all know it's not the same, and that's the thing. But pro sports are better or more so for fans than college right now, because in professional sports, you know who your team is. There's going to be some changes. You may have a trade, a draft, but you know who your team is. You know who your quarterback is. You know your running back. College, yeah.
Well,
hey, it's a new flavor each year.
You know what? Maybe I would disagree with you on the basketball side right now. I think college basketball is as good this year as exciting as it's ever been.
Oh, it is. Both are. I'm not saying that.
But I'm saying the NBA, we're talking about the wrong things in the NBA. We're talking about tanking, and we're talking about player movement and those kind of things, where we talked about Jim and you and I grew up in an era where the All-Star game was amazing. You watched
it meant something.
You watched how hard they played, and I'm gonna be honest, I was out and moving around. I watched college basketball over the All-Star game stuff this weekend and didn't feel bad about it at all. I mean, Texas Tech, Arizona was a great game. I feel like every night, not just in the Big Ten, we have a main event type basketball game, and every night they're not failing to live up to expectations. I mean, think about Saturday. You've got Houston and Arizona and Duke and Michigan. That is a mini Final Four. And I'm watching that over any NBA game right now.
Oh, it's incredible. I mentioned earlier, I'm like going, how do we have that game right now? I'm like, wow, do we want that game now, or would we rather have that in late March?
Well, I was saying, so let me ask you a question, being around Indiana. What regular, so the regular season basketball game, the two that I think I remember the most vividly, actually, there was an anniversary of one of them this week. It was that Indiana-Ohio State overtime game with Jim Jackson, a great game.
Oh, wow.
And then the Duke-Michigan regular season game where Leitner and Hurley played the Fab Five. And I'm like, those are two of the biggest regular season games I can remember. And then I looked it up. So the most watched regular season college basketball game of all time was the Thanksgiving Classic between Arkansas and Duke. I didn't know 6 million people watch that. I'm wondering, I think a lot of people are going to watch Duke and Michigan on Saturday night. These are two of the best teams in the country, and both teams are a lot of fun to watch.
Both teams are good as well. And the only thing that hurts them is there's so much crap that is siphoning people off that the ratings numbers, they're going to be hard to ever hit again.
Right.
Those high numbers. TikTok. I mean, there's people off watching TikTok that not a lot of those would be watching a game, but there may be a couple of guys there, but other games, there's just so much. But yeah, you're right. That's a draw. I mean, what else do you want to watch? Man, if you're a sports fan, if you like college basketball, what the hell else do you want to watch? You should probably watch that over your own team if they were playing. If Indiana was playing Northwestern, what game do you think I want to watch?
Right. Well, and then I think we're going to find out even more about Michigan. I didn't. They went into Mackey last night and just dominated again. They're up.
Michigan is the best team in the country, baby.
And it's starting to look like UConn a couple years ago, where it was like, yeah, they're just better than everybody else. When you can walk in, I'll have to go look it up, but they won at Breslin, they won in Columbus, and people say, oh, big deal, they won in Columbus. They always have trouble winning in Columbus just because it's Ohio State and Ohio State gets up for them there. Then they walk into Mackey last night. They're up by 16 at one point in the first half, and Purdue was playing hard. Purdue cut it to 8 there in the final minutes, but that Michigan team has a gear that other teams don't have, and not too many have. Maybe we're going to find out if Duke has that same gear around Boozer. I'm looking forward to it. It's as excited for a regular season game as I've been in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan is I knew early on that they were going to be the best of the Big Ten. I didn't know the Big Ten was going to be as good as it is, or as deep as it is, I should say. It's still pretty good. I've dropped down to 3 teams now, or 2 that I think can win a national championship. It's Michigan and Illinois. I don't think there's anybody else that can win the national championship that can go that distance. I don't think Nebraska can do that anymore. They only have 4 losses. It's not like they're a bad team. I'm just, when I think of who can go that distance, because I know that when you get to the Sweet 16, you're going to be now in the Sweet 16. That could be just a butcher block, man. Ginsu knives going through there.
It could be, and that's why this is one of those years where I kind of hope the upsets don't happen, because you could have just an absolute heavyweight block of Sweet 16 matchups. Of course, now talking about Miami of Ohio, watch them Friday night. They continue to be unbeaten. I believe the Red Hawks should have an at-large at this rate. If they were to go like 29-1 or 28-2 and lose in the MAC tournament, I still think the Red Hawks would deserve to be in. We'll see if the committee agrees. I think the St. Louis Billikens are another team that
their
fits
strength
that.
of schedule is kind of hurting them. It's like, what, 300 and something?
It is, but I mean, they've got 4 guys that can shoot the basketball at an amazing rate from the 3-point range, and they decimated Ohio. But I'm being a MAC homer, and I'm allowed to be a MAC homer.
No, I would rather, just as a sports fan, I would rather see a Miami team in than some 500 team that gets lucky and wins some stinking low-level conference that nobody even knows the damn name of or what the acronym stands for, and they get in because of a last-second shot on top of that. I don't want to see that knock out that Miami team.
Or the 11th team in the SEC. Or
exactly.
Quite frankly, the 11th team in the Big Ten. I know how good.
I was going to say, or Ohio State, somebody like that. No, I don't want to see that.
You want to see Ohio State with no quad 1 victories in over a 1-loss Miami team? I think that would become quite a debate around here. Obviously in the Columbus area, but I think I side with the mid-majors in that, and part of it is I went to a MAC school, but like a couple years ago when Indiana State was left out, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, put them in the tournament. We want to see Robbie Avila, and now he's at St. Louis, and the Billikens are having that kind of year. So it's going to be a fun tournament. I know we got a couple weeks left before we get there, but I do think college basketball has recaptured at least my imagination a little more, and that's what I was saying. Now, NFL to college football, that's a different discussion. Major League Baseball's place in this, we were just talking about the Reds and Padres, Jim. Like, I like the World Baseball Classic. I'll watch it, but I'm just not as into baseball as I used to be. And I think part of it is the product of the NFL, college football, and college basketball. Just they take up so much of my time that I kind of forget baseball's around sometimes.
Yeah, no baseball for me right now. I've got to get through. It took me so long to get into the college basketball season because of the extended football season this year. I mean, it really did. It was like we were 2/3 of the way through the season. And so it's the best time. It's the games are getting good. We get to listen to Mick Cronin cry more.
What did you think about that?
I think that he is just so, what's the word I'm looking for? Tired of being at UCLA. I think he hates being where he is. I really do. I think he hates his job, and I don't know all of the reasons. I'm sure there are reasons because I know he's a good coach. I've seen him go. I know what he's done. He didn't used to bitch and moan nonstop. And I love guys that are characters, that are colorful, like Tom Izzo, like Mick Cronin. But with this year and some last year with him, it's just been the constant complaining about the schedule, complaining about travel, complaining about his players. So I think he is just tired. And I mentioned earlier, over the last couple of years when big jobs have come open and start looking through different guys' contracts, UCLA had him handcuffed. He couldn't go anywhere. So I think he wants out of there, and I think he wants to come back east, to be honest with you. Other than that, I thought it was funny that he kicked his guy out.
He fits more. And my colleague Mike DeCourcy has a better relationship, obviously a good relationship with Mick Cronin. He's wrote some really good stories in the past on Mick. Cronin fits in this part of the country more. He always has. He's the type of coach that would fit in an Ohio school, an Indiana school, maybe even a Michigan school. If I'm not speculating on anything. Let's say if Tom Izzo ever retired, like Mick Cronin would be the type of coach you would want to replace him with. You know what I mean?
He's not a laid back California guy.
No, and UCLA is already a tough place to coach. And now you exacerbate that by putting them in the Big Ten, where, the travel is going to be hard. What do you think was going to happen? UCLA, there's only 2-3 other schools on that side of the country in the conference. So, you're going to have uncomfortable games against Michigan on a Saturday morning, noon. You're going to have to go to Michigan State afterward. That is a brutal 2-gamer, though, going from Chrysler and then going right up the road to Breslin, and they got smacked in both of those games.
Are you talking about UCLA?
Yeah.
Well, they go to Champaign this Saturday.
Who made that schedule? He has a right on that one. I would probably be complaining a little bit, but you have to.
But in the Big Ten, I mean, it's like every time you turn around, you're playing somebody like that, unless you're playing Northwestern or the other bottom end. But when you have a little over half the conference that is a dangerous game, you're going to run into that pretty frequently.
I think Michigan State down the stretch here has road trips to Michigan, Purdue, and Indiana. I mean, those are all tournament caliber teams, right? So even the Spartans, that's tough. You've got to go through that at the end of the schedule, but everybody is right now. And that's part of the deal when you have 10 tournament games. And then the other piece of advice, if you're USC or UCLA, you really got to take care of business at home when the schools are flying to you. I know that's a thing in football you and I talk about constantly, that the schools, when they travel out west, they struggle. Indiana doesn't count on that. Then they've taken care of their business on the West Coast trips, and vice versa. When, UCLA flies over to Penn State, they actually played Penn State well. You get my point, though. The travel has been a thing.
Absolutely. You can see it. If you go back and you look at the games, just in the Big Ten, it's not close. There is a great number that shows the teams that travel lose either way. It's, as a matter of fact, I think Penn State won a game maybe at Washington, and it was only the second Big Ten team to win a game that traveled more than over 2 time zones or something crazy like that. But Illinois. Oh, Illinois is at UCLA this Saturday. My fault. Hey, now Mick Cronin can be. He's still not going to be happy unless he can get that team to upset the Illini who are playing well. Man, I got that wrong. Thanks, Fred.
That's a good catch.
Oh, that's a huge difference too. I'm like, whoa. I was wondering when I saw that. I was like, damn, I was thinking that about, I'm like, gee whiz, they're going to have to bring them right back because they're not going to stay here during that time. So, yeah, I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad not glad I got it wrong, but Andrew's going to see IU versus Miami of Ohio and Dayton. Well, he's hoping, I guess. Is that?
That would be a fun first four, would it not?
It's not gonna. That's not gonna happen. Indiana's not gonna be in the first four in unless they collapse.
I have them in pretty firmly in right now, and I have Miami.
They're going to be a 10 seed, people. They're going to be a 10 seed.
Let me see. I could pull that up where I had them in my bracketology.
I think that Mike has them as a 10 seed. And the funny thing is, normally you always talk about what you can do to move up. Well, you don't want to move up when you're in the 10 seed area because that means moving to the 9, which means, first of all, it's an 8-9 game. That's tough right off the bat. And then you're going to draw the number 1 seed. Obviously, if you're a 10, you're going to draw the 2 seed, but that gives you a little bit breathing room. Hell, they'd be better off if they could manage themselves to get an 11 seed. I believe that. I truly mean that. I think that they could potentially be a Sweet 16 team if they were an 11 seed and played like they can play.
I have them as the final 9. So I have them as a 9.
Wow.
The last number 9 once, and then in that line, but that's because I couldn't decide what to do with St. Mary's, Texas A&M, who's fallen off. I have Miami of Ohio as a 10 because I believe if they win the MAC, that just history shows. Wally Zerbiak's MAC team, Miami team, 10. That Kent State team that went to the Elite 8 with Trevor Huffman, Antonio Gates, 10. So if Miami takes care of their business, that's probably where they'll be seated. Miami right on that, straddling that line between 9 and 10. UCLA is a 10. This was before last night, of course, so I've got to update some of this. They're getting that clump of teams. Like Indiana's firmly ahead of the UCLA, USC, Ohio State. Those 3.
Even though they lost to USC head-to-head.
They did, and then but Ohio
they should have won that. They probably should have won that game.
But Ohio State beat USC head-to-head, and Ohio State just doesn't have the quad 1, quad 2 resume that USC does. And unfortunately, as you know, Jim, we autopilot into the how many quad 1 victories do they have?
And Ohio State has 0.
And that's crazy to me. So they've got work to do here down the stretch as well. But I definitely have
Minnesota has at least 3 that I know of.
Quad
1 wins.
They're playing better.
They beat Indiana. They beat Michigan State. And I can't believe the third one, but I think they have 3 quad 1 wins.
And they play Michigan still, so they have a chance to whoever can pick off Michigan down the stretch out of I know they play Minnesota. I think Michigan still has to play at Iowa. Iowa is the team that they're with Bennett Sturts. They're kind of fluctuating. I've had a hard time seeding them with our bracketology at Sporting News. They're the one of those teams that you start to break them down. You're like, it should be a 7. They're probably a 9. I don't know what to do with them. They've caused me a lot of headaches so far because when they're good, they're really good. But how good can they really be?
Bill Bender from the Sporting News with me. We've got to take one last break. Glad to have you along. Talking some college hoops. We'll talk whatever you want. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Ball Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Glad to have you along for the ride. Bill Bender from the Sporting News joining me as he frequently does, and we are grateful for that. Was talking college hoops as it's getting to be the fun part of the season, man. Great games to watch and more coming this weekend without question. Lamar Wilkerson, Bill, has just been lights out for Indiana all season long. He is scoring. He has done something remarkable. He has hit 40 points this year twice. The only other player to do that in Indiana history, a man named George McGinnis, who I think is the greatest player in Indiana basketball history. And that is a debate that people would have. But I don't, man, if that dude played 4 years at Indiana, there would be no debate. I think that if he had played 4 years at Indiana, he would have set records that were just untouchable. Untouchable.
Yeah.
My God, he double digits scoring and rebounding as a sophomore. He was just a prodigy of basketball. I mean, like crazy. And can you imagine had he played his last 2 years with Bob Knight? Because that's when that happened. And then think, you would have had George McGinnis for those few years. So that bleeds into the 73-4 teams, which were already good. 73 went to the Final Four. 74. Then you got 75. But then you lose Larry Bird. So they lost George McGinnis. Then they lost Larry Bird. I'm like, good God. They could have legitimately had a run that was not paid for by Sam Gilbert. That would have been incredible, but that's all of that.
Wilkerson, the McGinnis 30 and 15. Imagine a player averaging 30 and 15
sophomore.
Yeah, as a sophomore. That's
sophomore.
Insane.
And he probably couldn't play as a freshman, right?
Right. I'm guessing that was the case. Yeah. They Wilkerson, obviously. That's when you have a player that can score that many points. I mean, that's why when you were talking earlier, Jim, about them being maybe an 11 seed, make them a really dangerous 11 seed. You have a player that can pop off like that in the tournament,
that's how I think that they could. That's why I said I think they could be a Sweet 16 team if they could land in that spot.
Yeah, because if you land in that 8-9, one way or the other, you got to play one of these 1 seeds, which is probably you're looking at Michigan, Big 12 champ, Duke, and I think UConn will probably end up in that 4th number 1, even though they're not right. That they're fighting for that with like Houston right now, or at lowest, UConn will be a number 2. a very good team out of the Big East. But that's the whole Ken Palm thing. I think the Big East struggles with, you have two awesome teams, UConn and St. John's, but they're not playing awesome teams every night. So it's hard to, but you can't tell me like if UConn was in the Big Ten, they wouldn't be right in the mix. They'd probably just have a couple more bruises.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the stats for Lamar. It's staggering. You know, I just talked about George McGinnis. Well, through 26 games this season, he's got the highest scoring average in Big Ten play by an Indiana player since George McGinnis and his 29.9 points per game in that 70-71 season. Through 15 league games, he's averaging 24 points a game, and he's top 5 in scoring, made threes, and three-point percentage at 38%. And he shoots a lot. So, man, this dude's headed to the NBA, I would imagine.
Right. And then when you make the jump from a place like Sam Houston and you anticipate, okay, he's a 20-point scorer at Sam Houston, that's probably going to fall off when he gets to the Big Ten, and it hasn't. I think that's the same thing kind of I was talking about Bennett Sturts earlier. You think he's going to fall off a little bit, but no, he's every bit as good. The Big Ten has several feature players like that are going to make for an interesting tournament. And make no mistake, Jim, this is a huge tournament for the Big Ten. Every interview I do, I think you and I obviously know about, you hear about the championship drought. When are they going to end the championship drought? When are they going to do this? And they can have as much success as they want in the first weekend. Nobody really remembers that. Oh, we were 9-5 in the tournament. Yeah, they remember Final Four appearances and cutting down the nets. And I think those are what they've got to do, at least, whether it's multiple Final Four teams or somebody cutting down that net.
Yeah, and even though Michigan and Illinois are tremendous, they're elite teams. They are national championship caliber teams. Doesn't mean you're going to win it, because it's a gauntlet. We all know that. It takes luck. You know, I look back at Indiana football this year, and they were just so dominant. And I think they were able to win because the things where you need luck, they were able to overcome a lot of the, if you had an unlucky break, they were able to overcome it. And those are difference makers. There was a time in the national championship game, I remember, when one of the times that they got to Fernando, the defender, he had that ball loose. And I'm like, that's a game changer right there. But Indiana maintained it, and it changes. But you got to have luck in any championship. And that includes the NCAA, man. Freak plays, freak calls. But what's up next for you?
We'll be working on some NCAA tournament stuff, that kind of thing. Obviously, I got a Duke Michigan type preview, looking at the history of those two schools.
Oh, are they playing?
Yeah, they're playing Saturday. I mentioned that earlier. They've had some good games. They've had some good games in the past, and then just continuing on, we'll have a little bit of NFL coverage. I'm obviously still keeping an eye on college football and everything that changes there, but what my favorite rule is sometimes is being like the backup quarterback or I guess the backup point guard for Mike DeCourcy over the next month or so. I love working with him through March Madness, and we'll have some good stuff. He'll definitely have some good stuff over there at Sporting News.
Oh, always fun. Always blast getting to talk to both of you. And I look forward to talking next time. I want to talk about the Big Ten's insistence on this 24-team playoff model, which I think is ridiculous. But and it's not going to fly, but I think that they're going to hold it up as long as they can. Bill, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Bill Bender at the Sporting News. Appreciate each and every one of you as well. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.